So you really want to get to know Derrick Rose. Like, beyond the insane highlights, this deep dive, it's going to be different. We're talking articles, interviews, even some gold from his teammate, Jeff Teague. Get ready to see D. Rose in a whole new light.
Yeah, what's amazing is we're getting Rose's own words, his journey, but also these really personal stories from someone right there with him.
Totally. Like a backstage pass to history from someone who lived it.
And speaking of history, you got to start at the beginning, right? Picture this. Young D. Rose, just tearing up the AAU scene. People already talk about this kid, saying he's special. That playing style, different.
Oh, yeah. Peake actually saw Rose back then, 8th grade, playing for a team. Get this Ferrari. Even then, you just knew the talent was undeniable, raw.
Ferrari. Guess you could say he was born for the fast lane, huh? But it was just talent, right? Teague talks about the way Rose played, the agility, where he just moved on the court. Like, it was effortless. Like he was born understanding the game. Teague says Rose, he'd go for these finger rolls instead of dunking, just floating around guys twice his size. It was beautiful to watch. And it showed you, this kid, he worked. Even then.
That's wild. And to think, Teague's own dad said they'd be reading about D. Rose someday. Talk about calling it. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's go back to those Chicago high school days. That's where the Rose-Teague rivalry really got going.
Man, that's where you see what Chicago basketball is all about. This wasn't just kids playing. It was for something bigger. Legacy. Proving yourself in a city that lives for this game.
Yeah, this wasn't your friendly pickup game rivalry. Teague remembers Rose, young, braids flying, just dominating. It pushed Teague, made him step his own game up.
For sure. But it wasn't just Teague. Rose, he was like a magnet, drawing in other top players.
Wow.
He had those O.J. Mayo games, everyone watching. These kids became stars overnight.
It's crazy how competition can light that fire, right? Push you further than you thought possible. But even with all that, the hype, Rose chooses Simeon Career Academy. And that's where you see there's more to him than just basketball.
You got that right. Going to Simeon, it wasn't just about hoops. It was loyalty, friendship. He followed his friend Randall there, even played JV at first. And Rose was already the real deal.
Seriously, most kids with that much hype, they want the spotlight in Ancillera. But to step back, put the team first, that says a lot about Rose.
It does. And Simeon, that's where those values became ingrained,
Yeah.
Discipline, teamwork, that insane work ethic. You can almost say it shaped how he'd be as a parent later on, too. It all connects.
All right, now you've got my attention. His parenting style. I gotta hear this. This is why we do these deep dives, people.
It all ties together. But there's something Rose said back in sophomore year that changes how you see his whole early career. Remember how driven he was, how much he put into the game?
Oh, absolutely. Like basketball was in his DNA or something.
So get this. Rose said he didn't even fully get how much money was involved in the NBA until sophomore year.
Whoa, are you serious? You mean all that drive, breaking records, those rivalries? It was just for the love of the game, not the fame, the fortune. That's almost unheard of, especially these days.
I know, right? It was pure passion, man. The joy of it makes those early wins even more impressive. This wasn't about some reward. It was all coming from inside him.
That's powerful. But let's be real, the business side, it's a huge part of the NBA, especially with someone like Rose. Which brings us to the D. Rose rule, right? It's not just what he did on the court. It's how his success changed things for every rookie coming after him.
Exactly. The D. Rose rule, in a nutshell, it changed how rookie contracts work. Suddenly, these young guys, the ones with all the hype, they could earn way more right away.
So he's breaking records, winning, and D changing the league even without trying to. That's impact, man.
For sure. Rose wasn't out there demanding a new rule. He was just playing ball, letting his game do the talking. The D. Rose rule, it was a result of how good he was.
Yeah.
But that level of success, especially in Chicago, man, the pressure was on another level.
Oh, tell me about it. We're talking about Jordan City. Those expectations are legendary.
Right. Rose has talked about feeling that, like he was supposed to be the next Jordan. Imagine playing for your hometown, but it's not just a game there. It's like a religion. And everyone expects you to be the savior.
Even if his friends weren't saying it out loud, he had to feel that, the hopes of a whole city on his shoulders.
No doubt. And as his career goes on, that pressure, it just keeps building. But before we go there, let's relive one of those D. Rose moments, one for the ages, that 50-point game.
Man, that 50-point game gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. It wasn't just him being good. It was like a statement. After the injuries, the setbacks, he came back strong.
And think about what led up to it.
Yeah.
This wasn't just another game for Rose. It was everything. All the pressure, the doubts, and he just rose above it. Incredible to watch.
Teague, he was on the team then, and he said Rose was locked in that night. Like he shut out the whole world and just played.
Teague said at first he almost didn't believe it. Like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Rose was unstoppable, and those emotions just kept building as the game went on. And Teague, he knew how hard Rose worked, so seeing it pay off like that, powerful stuff.
But that's what's so great about sports, right? The underdog, the comeback, that raw emotion gets you every time. And that game, it wasn't a fluke. Rose was changing his whole game, becoming more than just the flashy point guard.
Totally. He put in the work, man. His shooting, that's a perfect example. Teague even joked about how Rose was out shooting him in practice. And Teague can ball, so you know Rose was on another level. But it wasn't about showing off. It was that drive to be better, always evolving.
Like this fire in him wouldn't let him quit. That kind of mindset, that's not just basketball. That's how you got life, you know?
No doubt. And as Rose grew as a player, he became a different kind of leader, too. Funny thing is, it's Teague who tells this part of the story. He joins the Timberwolves, right? And he finds himself going to Rose for advice.
Wait, seriously, Teague, the vet, asking Rose for guidance? That's wild.
Right. Shows you how much Rose had matured. Teague was figuring out life after his hometown team, and Rose had been there, done that. He helped Teague through it.
Man, that's how it goes sometimes. Life comes full circle. We talk about his dedication, but it seems like reading, being introspective, that was a big part of his growth too.
Huge. Rose, he wasn't just studying plays, he was studying life. Always learning, trying to understand things beyond basketball.
Yeah.
He knew that real growth, it comes from within. You got to look inside.
Which leads us to fatherhood. We mentioned his son, PJ, who's a baller himself. But it seems like Rose's parenting, it goes way beyond the court.
Oh, absolutely. Discipline, work ethic, those are key for Rose. But the biggest thing he teaches PJ, know your worth. Like, he told PJ how to negotiate an NIL deal, to think about his brand, what he brings to the table.
Which is so important now, right? With all these opportunities thrown at young athletes, it's not just about the money, it's about value, making smart choices.
Exactly. Rose wants PJ to be well-rounded, a good athlete. He knows real success. It's bigger than trophies. It's about character, using your platform to do good.
And speaking of character, we have to talk about the Prince story. It's hilarious, but it tells you so much about Rose, how down-to-earth he is.
Classic story. Teague, Rose, and their friend at Prince's house. Everyone else is going crazy with the Prince gear, right?
Right.
At their table. Empty.
Too funny. Like they were in on a joke nobody else got. But it shows you Rose is genuine. He doesn't need the hype to fit in. He's good with who he is.
Like he sees right through the fame, you know? Knows it doesn't define you.
Good reminder that there's always more to the story, especially with famous people. We see the highlights, but it's those real moments that show you the real person.
For sure. And that's what's so cool about these deep dives. We started with D. Rose, the basketball prodigy, but we're seeing his resilience, how he's grown. It's about way more than basketball.
So as we wrap up this journey through the life and times of Derrick Rose, what are some things that stuck with you? What can we all learn from him, on or off the court? Honestly, it's that dedication, you know, that never give up attitude. Rose, he wasn't just gifted, he worked for everything, kept pushing himself on and off the court.
Yeah, that's huge.
And it's not just about him either. Like when he mentored Teague, sharing his experience, that's real, man.
Shows you what kind of guy he is.
Exactly. He's real, wants to connect with people. Rose isn't just some basketball star. He's showing you how to handle life's ups and downs with class, you know?
And you can't forget about family, man.
For sure.
The way he is with PJ, those values he's teaching, that's what it's all about. Rose is building something that'll last way longer than any game.
It's awesome to see. It reminds you, winning isn't everything. It's about who you are, what you leave behind. That's Rose's legacy, man.
And he lets you see it, you know, the good, the bad, makes him relatable even after all he's accomplished.
He shows you can go through tough times and come out stronger. Stay true to who you are. That's what makes his story so powerful.
It sticks with you.
For sure. D. Rose, man, it's more than just basketball, you know? It's about life. And I think that's what we all take away from this deep dive. He's an inspiration on and off the court.